In this video, we're going to learn how to read the SAT questions. So the SAT math itself isn't that difficult. What makes it extremely difficult is that the SAT makes the questions very long and very difficult to read. So most students that aren't trained does not know how to approach the problem, and they don't know what the question is actually asking. And so with my 4 simple steps that I'm going to teach you in this video, we're going to look at how to avoid reading the entire question and using 4 simple steps to figure out what the SAT is actually asking. And throughout this video series, we're going to practice this over and over again. So these are the 4 simple steps. Step number 1 is you read the question. Step number 2 is that you look at the answer choices. Step number 3, you're going to look at the formula / the table. And number 4, this one's a maybe. You read what each variable represents. If 1 through 3 isn't enough, you only go to step number 4. So let's go ahead and practice some examples. Alright, so let's take a look at this problem. So if you look at all this problem looks overwhelming. There's a lot of letters, a lot of text, and you'll get confused. So there's only 4 things you need to do. The first one's read the question. So the question is, which of the following gives P in terms of M, R, and N? So for a lot of students, that's pretty confusing. So let's go to step number 2, which says look at all the answer choices. So what do all the answer choices have in common? Well, they actually all start with the letter P. And step number 3 is let's look at the formula / the table. So you can see the formula is going to be right over here. And so all the question's asking is, I want to get P by itself. You don't have to read anything else. So from right there, I can already tell what the SAT wants, is to get P by itself. So with this problem, I'm going to do it pretty quickly. I will do this problem in a future video more in depth. So when I look at this problem, I see that C, it really can't be the answer because it's missing a lot of things from this formula over here. And I know it can't be D because it's also missing a lot of things from this formula over here. So I know it's either going to be A or B. And how do I know which one it is? Well, if anything's at the bottom, I know it always gets multiplied, so it goes on top. And I want this P by itself, so then anything on top will eventually go on bottom. So this goes on bottom, and then this goes on bottom. So we have to figure out which one has the 1 plus R 1200 minus 1, which is on top, along with the M. And the only one that has it is essentially B. And then on bottom, we can see that it's going to be the R 1200, and then the 1 plus R 1200, and then the N. And then that's why the answer is B. Like I said, I'm going to go more in depth with this in a future video. This is just learning how to read the question. Let's take a look at this second problem. So when you look at this problem, it's a lot of text. So don't read all of it. It takes too much time. You only need to follow these 4 steps and then you'll be able to figure it out. So step 1, we'll read the question. If a person is chosen at random from those who recalled at least one dream, what is the probability the person belonged to group Y? So the key word here is probability. So anytime I see the word probability, it always means part over whole. And so let's figure out the whole first. Well, what's the other keyword? So the other keyword is who recalled at least one dream. At least. Okay? So I know this group recalled at least one dream, And I know this group recalled at least one dream. So you just have to add them together. So it's 125 plus 39. And it'll be 14, 1, 6, 164. So we know the whole is going to be 164. Now the part is, what is the probability the person belonged to group Y? Okay, so group Y, we know it's going to be over here. So group Y is right here. So you're going to do 68 plus 11, and that will be 79. So the answer would be C. All right, let's take out this one last example. So step 1, I'm going to read the question. It says, which of the following is a reasonable approximation of the number of earthworms to a depth of 5 centimeters below the ground surface? Okay, so they want to know how many earthworms there are. So that's step 1. Number 2, I look at the answer choices. And I always want to know what they all have in common. And you can see that they all end with, or they all start with 1, 5. And so I know this one, I'm going to just have to approximate. If I look at step number 3, I look at the table. If you look at the average of all of them, right, just as a rough estimation, they all average to about 150. So that's when step number 4 comes in. Well, I don't really have enough information, right? So I have to read what each variable represents. So the first sentence says a square field measures 10 meters by 10 meters. Okay? And so what I see right here is that there's only 10 of it, right? So I know with each region, there's only 10. And so on average for each region is about averages out by 150. There's about 10 of these. 150 times 10 is to do 1, 5, and then you just simply add 2 zeros. And then from here, since it says it's 10 by 10, I have to multiply again by 10. And the trick is with these tens is that you just add one more zero. So it'd be 1, 5, 0, 0, 0. If you see 3 zeros, then you make 3 zeros. So the answer here would be C.